On your side with what we're currently tracking and the type of wintry precipitation we're expecting.
And Wes, not only are we expecting winter weather, get prepared to winterize your home as well as we bring you the first alert for frigid temperatures. We have more on how chilly it could get by the end of the week.
And we bring you the winter wonderland views from across central Alabama today as we saw snow to start off the week.
Live on your side, First Alert Weather Extra starts right now.
Well, how about that first Monday of 2025? Ryan Carty sharing this view of some snow showers in the Birmingham metro area. Kendra Bennett sharing this. Check that out, JP, from Natural Bridge, a little dusting. Gorgeous
right there. Rita Spencer in Northport, look at that.
Really coming down there in Northport.
The Pomeranian enjoying the flurries this morning. And Amanda Bailey in Fairview.
Man, and Coleman County was under a winter weather advisory. That has been canceled, JP.
Yeah.
Glad to have you here.
Yeah.
You know, JP saw the flurries. He decided to head to the office today, right?
I thought, I'm sitting around, there's some flurries. Yeah. Let's come on in. You know, there is winter weather or a threat of it. When last night, this is a true, you don't even know this story. Phone rings. It's my friend Teddy, the bread man in North Alabama. He's like, what's the lowdown on this? And I said, I think I'd be prepared for it, especially the northern third of the state.
Well, it's interesting. We saw a wintry blast coming this week, and that's the thing. When you start seeing those rumblings and hearing about the possibility, when the model data is showing it, you know that cold air is going to get here, and that's what we're dealing with right now. Meteorologist Tania Michelle's in Coleman County as they prepare for those bitterly cold temperatures. And Tania, I know you've been traveling all around Coleman County this evening for folks there. We had the winter weather advisory earlier. That's been canceled. Not really expecting any more wintry precipitation, but certainly extremely cold tonight.
Oh, yes, absolutely. It is so cold outside. That's why I'm here at one of the warming stations to give you guys a better look of what you can expect in case you might need to take advantage of one. And I just want to reiterate that even if you don't need a place to sleep tonight, the warming stations do have items that you might need. Blankets like this, also other blankets, pillows. Maybe you do need to find a warming station to be at so that you can get a good night's rest, a warm night's rest. This is a cot here, but these warming stations are so important because not only are they providing necessities to people across the area, but they also are bringing people together. And some of the volunteers that I have with me right now, we have Barry here at the Tarrant Pentecostal Church warming station. Barry, how are you? Trinity. Did I say Tarrant again? It's okay. Trinity Pentecostal Church. But yeah, listen, you're one of the volunteers. How are you feeling about tonight?
It's been good so far. If you want to get warm, this is the place. We're open from 6 to 8 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Cool. And then we have Norman, and then we also have Joseph. Joseph, say hey. Norman, say hey. They are other volunteers, but they're actually in need of more volunteers. Barry, can you tell us a little bit more about why it's important to have volunteers? Because you guys are open for such long durations of time.
Yeah, it could be 10 days. So, if you're not doing anything, just give us a call. Pastor Bo Garrison, he's on Facebook. If you got any food you want to donate, we need that. That's about it.
Yeah. If you have any other loose items around your home, extra blankets that you don't mind donating, check out the nearest warming stations to you. And even if you don't need to take advantage of them, there might be something that you can give to just bring a little extra cheer and warmth to these cold days. First Alert meteorologist Tania Michelle live here in Coleman County. We'll have more updates of the cold weather that you can expect this week right here on First Alert Weather Extra.
Right now down to 29 degrees here on Red Mountain. The wind chill right now showing 19 at Jasper, 17 at Birmingham, 23 degrees at Anderson, 19 Gadsden, low 20s to the south. If you need to run an errand this evening, you're going to need to let that car warm up out there. It's freezing across the area and it's going to stay there through a good part of the morning tomorrow. I do think we'll rise above freezing, but the low temperatures, and this is the next big thing, down into the 20s. Notice Coleman, we were showing you some snow video from Fairview earlier. earlier today. We're at 22 degrees there now. Here at Alabaster and Shelby County, we're at 24, 25 in Greensboro and Utah. For East Alabama, temperatures down into the mid-20s. So freezing conditions. We'll see temperatures just like this again tomorrow night, and then even colder Thursday morning with a possibility of lows down into the mid to upper teens. So this cold blast is here to stay for a while, and we need to make sure everything is properly winterized. We have declared more first alert weather days for Friday and Saturday, this time for the threat of a winter storm or wintry weather here later on this week. This would be for Friday morning, the possibility of a wintry mix, and then we could see that transition over to a chance for snow during the day, and perhaps during the overnight hours we could see some accumulating snowfall. JP and I have been closely monitoring some of that new data coming in here to the Weather Center. We were just talking about the way the atmospheric profile sets up Thursday night and Friday. I know there's a wintry mix possibility, but this may be more kind of a sleet starting out and then transitioning over to snow where that freezing line sets up for the rest of the day. But this shows accumulation possibilities for places like Anniston, perhaps Talladega, maybe as far south as Chelsea and Birmingham. Tuscaloosa not far. I still think to the south of this line, there's still going to be a period where we could see some wintry precipitation, not only early Friday morning if this does turn over to a cold rain, perhaps late Friday night and into Saturday morning as well. Another round of kind of like what we saw today, snow showers and snow flurries across parts of the area. And listen, this is a couple days out, but you know, when you check in here, we're going to try to give you some answers. And this is what we're seeing right now. We're seeing those possibilities coming up later this week, so you can plan, so you can prepare. But know these winter weather forecasts, they're very fluid, so check in for updates every time we get these models and get updates that will help to provide more detail on what you can expect. But as we prepare to see winter weather this week, meteorologist Matt Daniel joins us now with a weather extra on what we can look for when it comes to forecasting these types of systems.
Well, as you know, we got a storm that could produce some wintry weather across the southeast by the end of the week, and we're in this 4 to 5 day range. So what we're looking for is consistency when we look at our weather models, confidence increasing, and does the setup make sense? And then as we get towards tomorrow and beyond, within 2 to 3 days, that's when we're preparing that forecast, kind of get an idea on what kind of precipitation could fall across the area, the timing, location, all the above, all those specifics that a lot of people want to know. But when it comes to winter weather in the southeast, you need two things. Obviously, you need the cold air, and obviously we have that. And then you need a area of low pressure, a storm that's going to produce that moisture to produce the wintry weather. Well, here's the setups. So let's just say hypothetically we had an area of low pressure form in the Gulf of Mexico. It was weak and it just moves pretty much in the Gulf and then towards the Florida Peninsula. Well, in a setup like this, we might have a lot of dry air in place, not enough moisture because the system's weak and farther to the south, and therefore you don't see much of a setup except maybe some rain or a wintry mix of some sort farther to the south. So that is one particular setup when it comes to predicting winter weather. Or you may have an area of low pressure forming along the Gulf Coast across Texas, moving right along the Gulf Coast towards the east, and you just get enough moisture and cold air to move in. And that gives you the setup to see a wintry mix, snow, and then near that low where it's a little bit warmer, you'll see rain. And then another setup that's possible is what if this area of low pressure is a little bit farther to the north? Well, that's going to create a change in what kind of precip falls from the sky. So if this low is a little bit farther to the north, that means you could get just a cold rain with maybe a wintry mix up towards the north, and then farther to the north, just all snow. So it just depends on the track of the low and the intensity of the low, and that's what's going to translate to what you might see when it comes to winter weather across the area. Of course, we are continuing to look at the latest models and the latest guidance, and of course, with more information on this setup for Friday, here's JP.
All right, Matt, very good information there. And we talked about this earlier. The most likely scenario in terms of where that low is going to form is right here. And that would mean a good chunk of the state is going to be rain, but the northern third is going to be looking at mixed precipitation and even snowfall. So if you're up around the Tennessee Valley area, there's a pretty good chance you will see some accumulating snow, and that may extend as far south as Highway 278. the highway that extends from Marion County all the way across the state through Coleman and Blount and Etowah counties. Here's where we are expecting some impacts, and we'll go ahead and put this out here. Very few times do you see this level of model consistency and you don't have impacts. I think we will have some impacts possible I-20 corridor northward. Farther to the south, much less of a chance, probably just a cold rain. Now, in terms of freezing rain, a lot of people get concerned about freezing rain because that translates into power outages. I think the setup with this one is more likely going to be sleet, rain, and a snow mix. I think there's going to be less of a chance of freezing rain with this particular setup that we're going to see on Friday. Of course, we're going to be tweaking this data as it continues to come in, but forecast models have been somewhat consistent on what we're going to be looking at. And again, if you're north of Coleman, it would not surprise me if you see 1 to 3 inches of snowfall, even some pockets across parts of Madison County and then back into the Shoals where you can have even more snowfall than that. This is going to be one of those setups where not everybody sees snow. It's going to be kind of a mix. Some people, the snow lovers, are going to be disappointed, I think, areas south of Interstate 20.
Yeah, JP, we're gathering new data, so we're updating this forecast by the minute, so stay with us. And from the National Weather Service in Birmingham, the recent damage survey from last night's First Alert Weather Day showing EF1 tornado damage in Pickens County. We were tracking that here along with you. Winds reached 90 miles per hour. This move between Carrollton and the Owens area traveled nearly 5 miles. But Pickens County, that was a confirmed EF1, winds estimated around 90 miles per hour. All right, in 30 seconds, we continue to talk about the drop-in temperatures expected for tonight and bring further information on warming stations open across central Alabama. We'll see you after the break.
Well, we certainly talked about what we can expect later in the week, but right now, you probably noticed those temperatures are frigid. Wind chills down into the teens even as we speak. We had a wind advisory today. That's going to be expiring soon. Wind gusts 25, 30 miles per hour. Wind chill temperatures tomorrow down into the lower teens. The actual air temperature, if you look at our forecast for tomorrow morning, 23 for Coleman, 26 Tuscaloosa, 25 Talladega, farther to the south, Centerville at 26, Birmingham at 24. So down into the lower to mid 20s early tomorrow morning. It's going to feel a lot colder than that. We'll have several days with 0 chance of precipitation, and then we get to Friday. First alert weather day Friday right on through Saturday. Wintry weather likely, highest impacts in terms of travel. We're going to have to pay close attention to those road temperatures north of Interstate 20. So plenty of updates on what we could expect with this possible winter storm situation across parts of the southeast. The city is partnering again with Jimmy Hill Mission to open a warming station from tonight through Thursday. The mission will be open from 6 p.m. to 7 in the morning for those needing a warm place. If you're able to give, the mission needs donations, anything like blankets, fresh fruit, breakfast bars for their guests. Also in Clanton, City Hall there is open starting at 4:30 each evening as a warming station, and we also have all of this information. You can find it on the WBRC News app. Wes?
All right, JP, and in Gadsden, multiple locations are being used as warming stations for anyone who needs shelter from the cold. Your East Alabama reporter Reggie Kyle joins us as he talks with Gadsden's EMA director about what you can expect.
That's right, Gadsden Etowah County EMA Director Derek Mummert tells me now is the time to plan for the cold weather if you haven't already. Warming stations have opened in Gadsden and across Etowah County tonight. Director Mummert says they partnered with nonprofit organizations, city leaders, and community centers around the county that will provide a safe and warm place for anyone seeking shelter. Gadsden Public Library Director Craig Scott says they have provided this type of service year after year because as a public building, it's here for the people.
To be able to offer people a place to get out of the cold or or have a place to go that may not have adequate heat in their home. Every time it drops below 35 degrees.
Be warm here, use our great facilities. We've got a lot of online resources if they want to get on with their phone or a laptop if they're bringing that in, or just sit down and relax with a good book here.
Now, I have a list of those warming stations in my story in our WBRC News app, and warn your side with our first alert weather as those temperatures continue to drop. Your reporter in Gadsden, I'm Reggie Kyle for WBRC 6 News on your side.
And don't go anywhere. We continue to bring the latest on this weekend's First Alert weather days, and we're taking you across the country to our friends up north and to the west who are being impacted by a potent winter storm. We'll be right back with more of First Alert Weather Extra.
And welcome back into Weather Extra. A wintry blast arriving across Alabama. We're seeing a lot of winter weather in states, quite a winter storm over the weekend impacting states north of us. And that's why we have that ice cold north wind chills down into the teens. We have freezing temperatures over the next several mornings. And could we see a big time snow event coming up here later on this week? The possibility of some winter weather as we go into Friday and Saturday. That could start out as a wintry mix Friday morning and perhaps some accumulating snow for parts of our area. Here's what it's going to feel like tonight by, well, over the next hour. It's going to feel like 15 in a lot of areas, low 20s to the south. Extremely cold weather out there tonight. So if you have to run some errands, just pack up and make sure you have, I certainly wouldn't leave the house without a heavy coat and some gloves and all the winter weather gear just in case you run into some trouble out there on the roadways. You can see the no precipitation showing up, but the temperatures overnight will be cooling off. Looks like we'll have lows in the mid-20s there to start the day. It's going to stay windy tonight. tonight, so the wind will be a factor through the overnight and early tomorrow. And we get a secondary blast of cold air. Watch how these clouds come back in late tomorrow. We rise to around 39, then we drop back into the 20s. There may be some more snow flurries that try to drop in from the north. A lot of times we get these northwest flows. We'll have to watch out tomorrow night for that possibility, giving you the first alert. But the model suggesting, and as JP mentioned, we're starting to see less of a risk of significant freezing rain type setup, but more or less maybe some sleet that could return, a little wintry mix early Friday, and that can transition over to a accumulating snow event for our area. Possible snow accumulations right now look to be greatest in areas to the north, but it wouldn't surprise me if this shifted even further south to include more places like Tuscaloosa, perhaps Shelby County. So we just need to watch it at this point, but plan for possible impacts there. It looks like at least for part of the area, some winter weather impacts are likely on Friday. That's why we have declared a first alert weather day and could end up with some decent accumulations across North Alabama. And after that, especially if we have some snow on the ground. Talk about cold this weekend. We'll probably see those lows down into the mid to upper teens, perhaps by early Sunday morning. Right now going with 25, and just need to see how this is going to trend as we go into the weekend there. If it trends further north or further south, of course, that would have big impacts on the forecast. Unfortunately, that's the way winter weather forecasting goes. We're trying to forecast one line at 32 degrees. Where is that going to set up across the area? And we're right there. It's going to be right across central Alabama where that sets up, it looks like, into Friday. As we go to meteorologist JP. Okay. All right. So I'm sorry about that. So we're going to check in with JP here in a few moments. So not only are we watching for winter weather, our neighbors to the north, I was telling you a little bit about that winter storm that was happening. Portions of the Midwest to the East Coast are experiencing a winter storm that's bringing snow, ice, and freezing cold temperatures. We're going to check in now with Fox's Caroline Shively with more from Washington.
It's a lot, and it's hoping people are staying safe for sure.
The massive winter storm blanketing much of the U.S. is only getting more intense. Snowfall in some areas is already setting records. The Midwest is the hardest hit. Kansas City reporting more than 11 inches, the most in more than 30 years. And some areas of northern Kansas got 18 inches. Winter storm warnings are now in effect from the Ohio Valley to the mid-Atlantic. And with temperatures plunging in the coming days due to a polar vortex, officials are trying to clear the roads and get the lights back on as soon as possible.
We've really got one day to try to get power back to as many Kentuckians as possible before the wind chill gets down close to zero. So we've got a lot of work to do.
The vortex is pulling extremely cold air down from the North Pole. It's expected to bring temperatures down about 12 to 25 degrees colder than normal, raising fears of frostbite and hypothermia.
The tip of your finger or whatever organ's impacted may get red. Then it may progress to getting white or grayish color. It may feel firm. It may be really painful.
But in many areas, folks are out and about, spending time with neighbors and trying to enjoy the winter wonderland before it ices over.
Snow is something that seems to be bringing everybody together. It's the first time in a while I've seen so many smiles. It's great.
And here in D.C., the White House says President Biden is monitoring the storm and keeping in touch with state and local officials. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
All right, beyond the 7-day forecast, if you don't like cold weather, you may not like what I'm about to tell you, because the Climate Prediction Center taking a look at the longer range forecast as we go out a couple of weeks, 14 days here, out to January 20th, below average temperatures, eastern part of the country, about a 60% chance of temperatures below normal. So we're going to be looking at some pretty chilly temperatures. That would mean there's a decent chance we'll have a number of days with our highs in the upper 30s and even the 40s if you go by the climatological standards. Precipitation outlook looks like about a 30% chance of normal precipitation. Some of the heavier rainfall or snowfall chances farther back to the west. So we're not seeing a setup where we're going to be really looking at a higher snowfall chance. I want to show you something here as we switch over the monitors. This is the global forecast system, and we're going to bring it back to Friday. And the global forecast system, that's otherwise known as the American model, keeps the highest chance of snow to our north and some sleet, freezing rain. I think, as we've been talking, probably a better chance of sleet than freezing rain with this particular setup. And the Euro is fairly consistent. Again, snow, northern 1/3 of the state. We could be looking at 1 to 3 inches of snowfall, perhaps Tennessee Valley, even more. Highway 278 corridor could be some significant snowfall there. Farther to the south, that's where we're going to get that mix. Now, keep in mind, this forecast is going to change quite a bit over the next several days as we get additional high-res data. Snowfall forecasting, winter weather forecasting, always a challenge because 1-2 degrees can make all the difference in the world in what you're going to see reach the ground. So plenty of updates, but I would plan ahead on Friday. I think there will be some travel impacts in parts of our viewing area, especially for areas north of Interstate 20. So that's what we have right now in terms of what we're thinking on Friday. Lots of discussion this week about this upcoming potential winter weather event. More news still to come.
In flying, I wasn't saying flying blind. Yeah. Okay.
You can't tell anybody all the stuff ahead of time. You'll never remember it. Unless you got a printout right in front of you.